From homeless black to millionaire, the journey that even Elon Musk and Donald Trump admire. Malik's hands trembled as he wiped the grime off an old metal panel buried beneath cracked concrete. The air smelled thick, damp, cold, like a forgotten grave. Nobody from Crescent Ridge had been down here for decades. The tunnel slid dark and endless beneath the city's forgotten corners, running under the busted street lamps and burnt-out buildings where Malik grew up. A hidden crossing, buried beneath poverty and silence. This wasn't supposed to be here. Not really. The whistle of distant traffic above barely reached the tunnel's endless stretch. Malik's heart hammered against his ribs like a warning drum. What he'd discovered wasn't a simple underground passage for easing the city's rush-hour traffic, like Ethan Cole said in his glossy speeches. No way. It felt alive, like it held a secret too big, too sharp to be spoken aloud. Ethan Cole? The tech billionaire with a golden smile. Hitch. To help the city. But Malik's gut twisted every time he heard the name. There were words, rumors, whispers, things locked behind fakes and facades. And this tunnel, this could be the key. The project Cole didn't want anyone to know about. A machine promising unlimited information and energy running beneath everyone's feet. Right here, under their struggle. Malik's eyes adjusted to the dark as he ducked under a rusted girder. The walls were splattered with strange symbols, bright neon blue, humming low, pulsing like a second heartbeat. His breath caught. The lump in his throat tightened with every step. Electricity danced in the air, touched his skin like a warning. He thought of the faces on his block. Neighbors, crushed by a system that never showed mercy, left behind like trash. And here was this giant secret from the super-rich, wrapped up inside wires and whispers. What was Cole hiding? Just then, a sudden noise cracked the silence. A heavy thud from the entrance. Footsteps pounding closer. Malik ducked back behind a control panel, chest rattling like it wanted out. Someone was coming. Someone who didn't want the tunnel found. The corporation's reach ran deep, cold, and silent, like a shadow suffocating dreams. He thought of what his mom said before she passed. A voice full of proud tears about community, about standing for what's right. He was torn. Fame, fortune, the chance to be on the cover of tech magazines and sit in boardrooms. Those were tempting. The bright, blinding promise of success stared him down every day. But his roots? Crescent Ridge had molded him, scarred him. How could he turn his back now? With a shaky hand, Malik brushed away a dust-covered notebook wedged in a corner. Inside were scribbles, diagrams, warnings. The deeper he went, the darker Ethan Cole's shadow loomed. This wasn't charity. It was control, manipulation disguised as salvation. Then he spotted it. A faded message carved onto the tunnel wall. Truth bends loyalty. The letters flickered in the dim light, more question than statement. What did it mean? Who left it? A teammate? A warning? The air shifted. Faint whispers echoed softly, like voices just beyond hearing. Secrets crawling up the walls. Malik's chest tightened. This journey was no longer about discovery. It had become a fight for justice, for identity, for survival. A sudden breath of cold swept the tunnel, and Malik froze. The secrets were waiting, lurking in the shadows, calling him deeper. Could he stand against a giant? Or would the promise of fame swallow him whole? His heart pounded louder as the whispers grew, echoing, relentless, impossible to ignore. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Malik felt the cold air wrap around him like a straitjacket, each whisper in the darkness gnawing at his sanity. The weight of the secrets pressed down like a shroud. Just when he thought he might break through, discover the truth hidden deeper than the graffiti on the walls. A metallic clang echoed down the passage. His stomach dropped. Another set of heavy footsteps, closer this time. Malik peeked out, fear flickering through him like the neon blue lights flaring on the walls. He saw a figure, barely illuminated, tall with a dark silhouette, moving fast. "Don't!" a voice rasped, echoing through the hollow space. Malik froze. The figure, lean and frantic, dashed towards him, eyes wide, cheeks flushed with urgency. "Get out! They're coming!" His heart raced, pounding against his ribs like a drum. The moment stretched, an endless second that seemed to pull at the very fabric of time. Who's coming?" The stranger whipped around. "Ethan's men! They know!" Panic licked at their words like fire, and Malik's pulse quickened. He barely comprehended the chaos unraveling at that moment. "Wait! Who are you?" He could barely breathe as the stranger stepped closer, but then it clicked. The familiar jawline, the sharp eyes, Malik's throat tightened. Anya? Anya was his childhood best friend, the one who left Crescent Ridge for a flashy life in the city. They had shared dreams under the stars, promised to never forget their roots. And yet here she was, haunting this dark tunnel. "I didn't choose this, Malik. They dragged me back. All those years, I tried to escape." The tremor in her voice cut through him. "I thought it was just tech." "Tech!" He cut her off, his voice rising. "Dun dun dun! What do you mean? Ethan isn't just investing in the area, he's built something." Her eyes darted nervously. "Something dangerous. He has plans for this tunnel, Malik. It's not just information. It's..." Before she could finish, shadows poured into the tunnel. Figures clad in black jackets flooding the dim light. Malik's adrenaline surged. "What did you do?" His voice sliced through the tension, alongside the thudding footsteps, drawing nearer. Anya's expression shattered. It was pure fear. I thought he was helping. We could change the world. But he's been using people like us. He wasn't saving Crescent Ridge. He was enslaving it." A weight dropped in Malik's stomach, anchoring him in place. She wasn't only a victim. She was caught, wrapped in an elaborate game he hadn't even begun to understand. rushing footsteps thundered toward them. He sensed danger like a wild beast in the dark. The whispers turned into screams in his mind. Malik grabbed Anya's arm. "We need to go!" But she shook her head, wide-eyed. "If they've found me, they'll find you too." And then, like a punch to the gut, one of the shadowed figures stepped into view. It was Ethan Cole himself, that golden smile now twisted into something darker. "So, we've finally found you, Anya. You should have known better than to play with fire." A chill ran through Malik. Everything changed in that moment. Ethan wasn't just the benefactor. He was a puppeteer, and they were tangled in his strings, caught in a web of power and betrayal that spun far beyond the tunnels below. "Run!" Anya screamed, pushing Malik away, but his feet wouldn't move. The truth kept biting, tugging at his essence. A horrifying clarity dawned. The war he thought he was ready for might consume them both. Malik was rooted, staring at the monster he had naively admired, and he suddenly questioned everything about Anya, about Cole, even about himself. The walls around him seemed to pulse, a heartbeat echoing through the madness. Could he trust her? Were the nightmares he'd uncovered just the beginning? The maze whispered back, and Malik sensed a storm brewing as the shadows closed in. It was time to confront the truth, all of it, before it swallowed him whole. The air thickened around Malik, the whispers growing louder, weaving through the concrete like smoke. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Each breath felt heavier. Then, the footsteps echoed through the tunnel, closer and closer. His heart raced. Malik pressed his back against the cold, unyielding metal, listening, straining to catch any hint of identity from the approaching figure. The darkness swallowed every sound, but the weight of the moment felt monumental. Suddenly, a flashlight beam split the gloom, and Malik's breath hitched. There stood a figure, casting a long shadow against the glowing symbols. It was Ethan Cole himself, his smile an unsettling mask in the dark. "Malik!" he called out, voice smooth, yet filled with a veiled threat. "You shouldn't be here. This is not for you." Malik's blood turned to ice. Ethan moved closer, the light flickering, revealing not just a man, but the secrets he wore like a cloak. This was not the philanthropist plastered on magazine covers. This was a man who would do anything to hide his core. What lay beneath those layers of charm? Digging into things you don't understand is dangerous. Ethan's eyes narrowed. This project, it's bigger than you can imagine. Malik's mind lost track of thoughts as panic gripped him. Why was he here? What did he really want? He felt exposed, vulnerable, like a blade against his skin. "I'm not afraid of the truth." Malik finally found his voice, tinged with steel as he stepped forward. "You're hiding something. You're not saving this place. You're exploiting it." Ethan chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. "You've got spirit, kid, but there are rules. You don't break into things you can't put back together." As he spoke, his left hand slipped into his pocket, and Malik's senses went on high alert. He remembered every warning his mother had given him about not trusting smiling faces in boardrooms or beneath street lamps. Wasn't Ethan Cole the very face of hope? A beacon for Crescent Ridge? Or was he a predator, hiding as a savior? Then, beneath the icy intimidation, Malik noticed something. An emblem on Ethan's cufflink. A logo he'd seen in that dusty notebook. His gut twisted. This wasn't about charity. There was a deeper connection. MK Industries, Malik whispered, the realization hitting like a jolt. Ethan's eyes flashed with surprise, then hardened. I shouldn't be surprised you stumbled onto that. You see, these walls, they have ears. Before Malik could respond, the distant rumble of footsteps stomped through the tunnel, shaking the ground. Malik's heart dropped into his stomach, and suddenly, shadows emerged. Figures in dark clothes, flicking flashlights, scanning the passageway. The atmosphere shifted. Cold dread crashed into Malik as the realization hit. These weren't just guards. They were the enforcers of a secret. Malik stood frozen, caught between a fight and a flight. "Stay back!" Ethan warned, his voice an icy command that echoed off the walls. But it was too late. With a deafening crash, the tunnel entrance burst open, and chaos followed. Figures clambered in, but Malik didn't see their faces. Just masks of fury, their intentions clear. They were here to silence him, to protect whatever this nightmare was below Crescent Ridge. Malik felt the walls close in, suffocating him, and then his world flipped. Ethan's gloved hand pushed him aside at the last moment, sending Malik sprawling as a blur of shadows rushed toward them. In that moment of panic, a revelation struck like lightning. Ethan Cole was part of it, maybe even at the center. All that light, all that hope, hiding a darkness that could swallow them whole. And as the shadows closed in, Malik lost sight of the truth. The whispers turned to screams. In the thick of the chaos, he thought one thing. What if everything he believed was a lie? He scrambled to his feet, eyes wide with fear and confusion. Would the truth drown him before he could expose it? Would he find out who Ethan truly was? Or would the very secrets he sought to uncover be the end of him? The darkness pressed in, and Malik understood. His journey had only just begun. The ground shook beneath Malik's feet, the heavy footsteps closing in. Shadows flickered as figures charged toward him. Every instinct screamed to flee, but a surge of adrenaline froze him in place. Ethan's face twisted, defiance and dread etched deep. "Get out of here!" Ethan shouted, pushing Malik, eyes wide with a mix of anger and fear. But it didn't help. Malik was rooted, staring at the storm brewing in the tunnel. Panic filled the air. What was happening? Danger was thick like smoke, wrapping around him. "Don't fight them," Ethan urged, a hint of desperation edging his tone. Then the figures poured in, and chaos exploded around him. Shouts tore through the tunnel, flashlights flickering like wild fireflies. Malik's mind raced. He needed a plan. Anya was next to him, trembling, her gaze darting nervously between Malik and Ethan. Suddenly, a voice cut through the noise. "Enough!" A commanding tone that rang clear, silencing the chaos around them. Everyone froze. A new figure stepped into the light, sharp and powerful. A woman in an immaculate suit, her brown eyes piercing through the gloom. "Why, Ethan," she stated calmly, but the tension crackled in the air. "What's going on?" Malik's heart raced faster. He knew this woman. She'd appeared in countless news articles, a rising star in politics, a fierce advocate for Crescent Ridge. What was she doing here? Laura, it's not what it looks like. Ethan's voice trembled, cracking under pressure. Then explain. Now. Before Ethan could respond, Malik felt it, a strange pulse beneath his feet. The walls of the tunnel shivered. Were they hiding something bigger than he realized? The energy around them shifted, an unseen force weaving through the air, crackling like static electricity. "Leave!" Anya shouted, her voice fierce, cutting through the fear. "We have to warn them!" A spark ignited Malik's thoughts. Warn who? Could it be the people of Crescent Ridge? The idea set a fire in his chest, brightening the shadows that had chained him. Ethan's been lying. This whole project? Malik started, but Ethan's glare silenced him. With a flash, Laura's gaze sharpened. What project? Ethan's been hiding a tech that he said would help us, but it's really about control. Malik's voice grew stronger, fueled by the truth. People are getting hurt. He's using us. A silence fell. Malik could hear hearts racing. Then, without warning, everything changed. The walls rattled, and a brilliant light burst from the shadows. Malik shielded his eyes, and when he uncovered his vision, he saw something unimaginable. A machine, massive and humming, with wires spiraling everywhere. The truth hit Malik like a punch. This was no ordinary tech. This was a weapon. "Malik!" Anya cried, reaching for him. But the light amplified, enveloping their surroundings. The air vibrated with energy. Then, with a deafening roar, the machine spat out a torrent of information. Maps, blueprints, names. "No!" Ethan's face twisted in panic, rushing toward the machine. But it was too late. The visions erupted from the machine. Malik gasped. "They're using us as test subjects?" The images flashed. People from Crescent Ridge, all caught in a cycle of experiments. The cavernous space pulsed harder, each beat a reminder of the lives being uprooted. Ethan turned. Desperation giving way. "I never wanted this. I just wanted to save us." Malik's heart dropped. Could it be true? Did Ethan think he was a savior? The weight of betrayal hung heavy. "Stop lying!" Malik shouted, tears burning in his eyes. "You are the monster!" "Monster?" Ethan's voice cracked. "You think you're different? I did what you couldn't do. I made sacrifices!" Suddenly, Laura stepped in front of Ethan, shock wrinkling her brows. "You were supposed to protect these people, not turn them into experiments. Do you realize what you've done?" Malik felt his world fracturing. Everything he thought he knew shattered as he looked at Ethan, the man he admired, the man behind this facade of hope. A machine spat out one last image. Then, without warning, the floor beneath them trembled under ominous cracks. "Run!" Malik shouted, pulling Anya with him. But it was chaos. Everything erupted. Lights flickered. The machine trembled. In the madness, could they escape? Would everything they fought for be buried beneath the weight of lies? And just then, in the eye of the storm, Malik caught a familiar symbol flickering on the wall. MK Industries. The connection stabbed into him, twisting everything into a messy web of betrayal and ambition. What would it mean for Malik, for Anya, for Crescent Ridge? Would they unravel this chaos before it consumed them? The darkness whispered once more, and all he could think was Ethan really the enemy? Or was there something far worse behind all this? The air shifted again, colder this time, sending goosebumps racing down Malik's arms. The whispers, fainter now, seemed to dance around his ears, pulling him deeper into the unknown. He pressed his back against the cool metal of the control panel, breathing hard. His heart hammered as he strained to hear the footsteps growing closer, each thud echoing like a gunshot in the tense silence. Suddenly, the shadows shifted. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the grimy walls, the strange symbols flickering to life. Malik held his breath, peeking around the edge of the panel. A figure stepped forward, silhouetted against the harsh light, and Malik's stomach dropped when he recognized the tall frame and sharp suit. Ethan Cole, Malik's mind raced. Why was he down here? The billionaire's face twisted into a frantic expression when he noticed the dust-covered notebook in Malik's hand, a spark of recognition flickering in his eyes. "You shouldn't be here," Cole shouted, rushing forward, the urgency in his voice cutting through Malik's disbelief. But before Malik could respond, the distant rush of footsteps became a cacophony of chaos. Figures emerged from the dark, clad in dark uniforms and masks, as if pulled straight from a nightmare. Malik's heartbeat quickened, the world around him blurring into a swirl of panic. What were they doing here? Were they here for him or for something more? "Get out, now!" Cole yelled. He grabbed Malik by the arm and tried to pull him away, but the masked figures were fast. One of them reached for Malik, but Ethan pushed him aside, taking the brunt of the impact himself. Malik stumbled back, the sound of a scuffle ringing out. The air buzzed with tension. Then, like a switch flipped, the chaos erupted into violence. A flash of metal caught Malik's eye, a knife glinting beneath the flickering lights. It all spiraled into confusion as Cole fought back, dodging fists, and something dark boiled inside Malik, tearing at his insides. This was not the man they praised on TV, the supposed savior of Crescent Ridge. The shadows of the tunnel whispered doubts, peeling away the shiny veneer. Malik wanted to run, to scream, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the scene unfolding in front of him. With every move Cole made, Malik realized this was about more than just a hidden project. There were lies buried deeper than the concrete above. Hiring goons to protect his secrets? What had he gotten himself into? In the chaos, Cole glanced back at Malik, a fleeting moment of vulnerability flashing across his face. "You need to trust me," he shouted, but Malik felt nothing but anger. Trust? The whole world was a stage, and they were all just players wearing masks. The footfalls of the attackers drowned out Malik's thoughts as they overwhelmed Ethan, pinning him to the ground. For a moment, the tunnel filled with silence, and then, with a sickening snap, the sound of a body hitting the concrete rang out, echoing in Malik's ears. Cole lay still, lifeless, his golden smile now a faded memory beneath the grime. Malik's breath hitched, shock radiating through him like a wave. Everything he thought he knew, everything he had been fighting for, cracked wide open. Was this the truth? A betrayal cloaked in ambition, and in a quest for justice, he had become an unwitting pawn in a game far beyond his understanding. As the masks turned towards him, Malik felt his heart race. The whispers now screamed at him from the walls, begging for a decision. Run or fight? There was no turning back. What truth had he stumbled upon? What darkness had formed beneath the home he loved? He stepped forward, determination flooding his veins. Would he reveal what lay hidden, or become another piece in the shadows? Malik's heart raced, pounding in sync with the whispers that grew louder, curling around his thoughts like smoke. The tunnel vibrated with a pulse of urgency, drawing him further into its depths. He had come seeking answers, and now it seemed those answers might be more perilous than he imagined. Then, a shadow blurred the entrance's dim light. Malik's breath hitched. The footsteps grew sharp and quick, echoing across the damp floor. He pressed himself against the cold metal of the control panel, heart thumping louder as he held his breath. He could barely see, but he could feel the presence coming close, menacing, determined. And just like that, the light flickered. The darkness swallowed whatever hope lingered. He squinted through the shadows, straining to catch a glimpse of who or what was coming. Was this Ethan Cole's security? Had he come to silence Malik once and for all? No. The figure stepped into the meager glow, and the shock hit Malik like a freight train. "It's you!" he gasped, fighting disbelief. The light caught a familiar face, one that had always been there, but now felt like a jarring juxtaposition in this subterranean world. It was Simone, his childhood friend, the one person he thought he could trust. The girl whose laughter had once rang through the broken streets of Crescent Ridge. A knee-jerk urge to run surged in him, but he stayed rooted as her expression shifted, softening just for a moment before hardening like stone. "Malik," she said, voice steady, a mask of calm layered over something deeper, a storm, perhaps. "You shouldn't have come down here. This isn't what you think." "What do you mean?" He pushed against the wall, itching to get closer, to understand. "I need to know what he's hiding, what he's doing to our community." But Simone shook her head, a quick, almost mechanical motion. "You don't understand. Cole's plan, it's bigger than you realize. We're not just pawns in a game. We're part of something he's built into this city." Her eyes darted around, wide and haunted. "And it's monstrous." Suddenly a shrill alarm blared through the tunnel, ripping apart the tension like thunder. Malik's pulse raced. "What did you do?" he shouted. "I didn't mean to. They'll come looking for me. For us." Panic sharpened the edges of her voice, and Malik felt his own resolve waver. Was Simone part of this? Was she acting for Cole? Before he could voice the thought, she stepped forward, urgency framing her words. "You need to leave, now." But there was something else buried beneath her tone, something desperate. A warning? Regret? That's when he spotted it, a flash of blue light slicing through the darkness. Within seconds, a door swung open, revealing figures in dark uniforms, their faces obscured. Malik's stomach sank, recognition turning sour. Agents of Cole's corporation, armed and unyielding. Simone's hand shot out, gripping his wrist as they both turned to run. But in a flash, everything changed. The first agent lunged, and with a swift movement, he grabbed Simone, yanking her back into the light. She screamed, a sharp, piercing sound that echoed through the tunnel. Malik froze, horror settling in his bones. "Get off me," she wailed, twisting in his grip, and then came the words that shattered the ground beneath him. "I'm sorry, Malik. I had no choice." His heart dropped, a chasm opening inside him. What choice? What game had he walked into? How could she be part of this? The world felt like it was tipping. spinning into chaos as he watched her thrash against the agents. They dragged her toward the light, fading from his grasp. "Simon!" he cried, but the sound felt hollow, swallowed by darkness and despair. Fear clawed at him, but a new fire ignited. Betrayal? Pain? It surged in him. The tunnel loomed larger now, a labyrinth of danger and secrets. As she disappeared from view, a chilling question echoed in his mind. What had he truly uncovered? And what price would he pay to find out? The darkness crackled with possibility, with danger. Whatever lay ahead, it was no longer just a fight for justice. It was a fight for survival. And he'd have to face those shadows alone. The whispers swirled around Malik. A chorus of secrets that threatened to swallow him whole. His heart raced, pounding in time with the electric hum that filled the air. Shadows danced on the walls, and every instinct screamed for him to run. But he couldn't, not now. Not when he was so close to the truth. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the tunnel entrance, reverberating like a thunderclap in the tight space. Malik jumped, his body pressing against the cold metal of the control panel. His breath caught in his throat as the figure stepped into the dim light. It was Ethan Cole. Malik's instincts flared like a firecracker. Cole's golden smile was gone. His face twisted with anger, shadows deepening the lines around his eyes. "You shouldn't be here," he growled, his voice low and menacing. There was no trace of the charming billionaire Malik had heard in the speeches, just a man consumed by something dark. "Why are you hiding this?" Malik shot back. "What's really going on down here?" Cole stepped closer, a menacing figure cloaked in power. For a moment, the tension hung thick, suspended like the air before a storm. "You think you know what this is? You don't." Then, without warning, another sound broke the silence. A sharp crack echoed down the tunnel, like thunder ripping through the walls. Suddenly, the ground shuddered beneath Malik's feet. Dust and debris rained down as panic surged in his chest. "What's happening?" Malik shouted, his words lost in a cacophony of chaos. Cole's expression changed, urgency flickering across his face. "We need to go! Now!" But before they could move, the tunnel began to crumble around them. The walls shook. Dust swirled like a storm, choking the air. Malik stumbled backward, fear clawing at his throat. Images flashed through his mind, faces of the people he loved, the community he had fought for. He couldn't let this be the end. "Malik!" Cole shouted, grabbing his arm, urgency etched in his every word. "I can save you. You have to trust me." Trust, the word felt like a betrayal. Every moment spent thinking Cole was a savior cracked under the pressure of reality. Who was this man? Malik's heart raced. The man who spoke of lifting Crescent Ridge up? Was he really just trying to bury it deeper? Then, a piercing scream shattered the chaos, a sound that stung with desperation. Malik turned to see shadows in the distance, figures darting through the dust, eyes wide with fear. His lungs felt heavy as betrayal crawled its way up his spine. "I have the answer to everything you seek," Ethan pressed, his grip tightening as the tunnel shivered around them. "You can't turn away from this." Before Malik could ponder his options, a shadow rushed past them, and he froze. A familiar face stepped into view. His childhood friend, Jade, appearing like a ghost he thought he'd lost forever. Breathless and terrified, she gasped, "Malik, don't listen to him. He knows the truth about us." Malik's stomach dropped. The secrets were spilling out like a dam breaking. Jade's presence twisted everything he thought he knew. "What do you mean?" he croaked. "Ethan Cole is not who you think he is," she cried, fear chasing the words from her lips. "He's been using all of us to build a machine that—" But before she could finish, a deafening roar erupted from the heart of the tunnel. The ground shook violently, and the darkness swallowed them whole. In that moment, Malik's world shattered. The fight had turned into chaos, and trust drifted away like smoke. He was left gasping for answers, standing on the edge of a revelation that could change everything he thought he knew. Was Ethan a monster hiding behind a mask? Or was there something even darker lurking beyond? The truth clawed at him, and as shadows closed in, Malik felt the fragile grip on his destiny slip away. Malik's world shattered in an instant. The walls trembled as the ground shook violently beneath him. The chaos erupted into a swirling storm of bodies, dust, and fear, engulfing any semblance of safety. He barely registered Jade's frantic warning, the way her eyes widened in terror, words swallowed by the noise. Then came the piercing roar, louder than any earthquake. A blinding light burst forth from the depths of the tunnel, illuminating everything in a shimmering glow. Malik blinked against it, shielding his eyes as shadows twisted and recoiled. Panic surged through him, a tide of uncertainty. What was happening? "I can't," he began, his voice lost amidst the chaos. But before he could finish, a deafening crash echoed through the chamber, like thunder tearing through the heart of the earth. And then it happened. Everything stilled. The light flickered, then vanished as suddenly as it appeared, plunging them back into darkness. Malik could hear nothing but the racing of his heart in the thick silence, the world blurring until all he could focus on was the chill in the air. "Malik!" Jade's voice cut through the hush, breaking the tension like glass. "You need to—" But before she could finish, the ground shuddered violently again. The very fabric of reality twisted. And then, oh God, the tunnel floor began to crack, splitting open in sinister fractures. "What's happening?" Malik shouted, dread clawing at his throat. But then he saw it. A billowing smoke rose from the cracks, swirling around their legs, like ghosts awakened from slumber. A figure emerged from the dark smoke, stepping through the chaos, as though unaffected by it all. Malik's breath caught in his throat. It was Ethan, somehow standing tall amidst the destruction. But he was different. The confident billionaire mask was gone, replaced by a wild gaze filled with something dark and primal. "Run!" Ethan screamed, but his voice was half a whisper against the growing roar of the tunnel. But he wasn't directing it solely at Malik. He was looking past them, eyes wide with horror. And then, like a punch to the gut, Malik understood. The tunnel wasn't a sanctuary. It was a trap. Ethan had been the architect, building this web of deceit. The whispers he once sought to silence were now screaming truths at him. Malik took a step back, stunned. You did this, Ethan's eyes pleaded, but there was a raw fear that twisted up and broke him. I didn't think it would go this far. Before Malik could respond, the ground gave out. He felt the earth drop beneath him like a cruel joke. The world spun, and gravity pulled him down into the yawning darkness below, swallowed by a gaping chasm that had opened up like a monstrous maw. He reached out instinctively, grasping for anything, but only felt the rushing air slip through his fingers like sand. And in that fleeting moment of freefall, something else sliced through the air. A scream, a shriek filled with agony and despair. It belonged to Jade. The sound tore through Malik, a visceral pain that ignited every nerve. He had no choice but to watch as shadows flickered and waned around them. Heath screaming to save her, his voice fading into the abyss. Then everything went black. Moments ticked by like days. Malik landed hard against cold concrete, the impact jarring him awake, gasping for breath as the weight of panic set in. Shadows loomed nearby, the light flickering back into focus, just enough to reveal faces gathered around him. Those familiar, those he once trusted, they gaped down at him, expressions frozen in shock. But it was what they were staring at that froze him in place. Jade, lying motionless, eyes wide open. And in that moment, Malik's heart splintered. She was not alone. There were others from Crescent Ridge, their faces blurred into an echo of memories that felt so close, yet so distant. And as Malik reached out, a chilling sensation gripped him. The truth dawned upon him. This was not just betrayal. It was profound loss. The machine's purpose ripped through him like daggers. Each life, each dream sacrificed for a darker agenda he couldn't comprehend. I'm sorry, I didn't want this. Ethan's voice trembled as he knelt beside Jade. Please, wake up. Malik's eyes filled with tears at the chaos and ugliness unraveling before him. Was Ethan really human? Or just a mask of horror, masquerading as a savior? But just then, the machine buzzed back to life, its glow illuminating the room once more. Images flickered before their eyes, gruesome, horrific, even their own faces tangled in desperation. Each image sent waves of dread crashing over Malik. There was more to this than he had ever known. What if everything had been a carefully crafted illusion, and the people he fought for were already lost before he even stepped? He turned to Ethan, words choking in his throat. What have you done? And as Malik stared into the hazy darkness, the shadows whispered louder than ever. Those familiar, disbelieving faces seemed to shift, blurring the lines of truth. The chasm still gaped beneath, daring him to step closer. Was there a way to come back after this? His heart raced, but uncertainty tightened its grip. Would the ground crack beneath him again? Or was the real fall yet to come? The chaos swirled around Malik, shadows closing in, panic rising like bile in his throat. The images flickered from the machine, their grim faces painted with fear. Nothing made sense, and yet everything felt horrifyingly clear in this suffocating darkness. He reached toward Jade, desperation clawing at him. Wake up! Please, wake up! He pleaded, the words spilling out like a prayer. The flickering light illuminated her face, pale, still. But then, like thunder after lightning, a rumble split through the tunnel, low and menacing. Malik stiffened, eyes darting to Ethan, whose expression twisted from grief to terror in an instant. "No, not now," he whispered, the color draining from his face. And then it happened. With a heart-stopping crack, the wall beside the machine exploded. Pieces of concrete flew in every direction, sending Malik diving for cover. Dust rained down like confetti in a funeral, obscuring everything. The shouts of Ethan and Jade mingled with the chaos. Malik felt the ground shift beneath him. An earthquake in this man-made tomb. The air compressed, squeezing around him, as all but his thoughts flickered and faded. Time stretched like taffy. His pulse raced as a silhouette emerged from the haze, dark and imposing against the backdrop of destruction. "Malik!" The voice was deep, chilling. "I've been waiting for you!" As the dust settled, Malik's heart lurched. It was Laura, the political figure he had idolized. "You?" In this angry moment. Up, he gasped, memories crashing over him. She'd been the face of hope for Crescent Ridge, popping up in every speech and every rally, promoting a future filled with promise. "Laura!" he managed, confusion mixing with disbelief. "What?" Without warning, she strolled past Ethan, her eyes scanning the expanse of chaos like a general on a battlefield. "You think this is going to change anything? You're all just pieces in a game you can't comprehend," she said, her voice steady, almost mocking. "Game? What are you talking about?" Malik yelled, feeling the betrayal stab at him like a knife. The moment she turned to face him, her expression shifted. It became a mask, a grin that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, Malik, sweet Malik. You think you're fighting for something good, fighting for your community? You have no idea. This isn't about saving Crescent Ridge. It's about control." Malik's stomach dropped. He stumbled back, breath hitching. "What do you mean? Did you really think Ethan was building something for the people?" She sneered, her voice laced with contempt. "He's just a cog in the machine, and so are you." "No, that can't be true," Malik whispered, a growing dread pooling in his gut. "You were supposed to be on our side." "And what side is that?" Laura laughed dryly, fingers brushing against the machine as if claiming it for herself. "When you realize the truth, you'll see. This doesn't benefit the broken, it strengthens the powerful." A blinding light erupted from the machine, more intense this time, bathing the tunnel in eerie brilliance. Malik shielded his eyes, his heart pounding. And then he felt it. Betrayal tasted bitter as fear crawled up his spine. Was she the real enemy all along? Each piece of evidence felt like a dagger, shredding apart the alliances he thought he had formed. Out of nowhere, an explosion sent a shockwave rippling through the remaining structure. He struggled to keep his footing as dust swirled around him, covering everything in a thick, gray haze. Silence fell, a heavy pressure hanging in the air. Then, as if time had snapped back into place, the machine emitted one last screech, like a dying animal, and the chamber shook once more. Malik looked up to see shadows retreat, but it wasn't just Ethan and Jade. Something was happening, something irreversible. "Malik," Laura said, voice low and conspiratorial, "you have a choice to make. Fight for your broken community, or join us where power lies. Choose wisely. Suddenly, the walls began to buckle, crumbling under the weight of their secrets. Malik felt the ground beneath him tremble once more, doubt sinking deep. Would he embrace the light of truth, or fall into the darkness of betrayal? Would everything he fought for shatter like glass before him? He took a breath, feeling the hard edge of reality close in, as he stood at the brink of something monumental. His choices lay before him like a darkened path, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of an even greater unraveling. Malik's heart raced as the world around him crumbled. Shadows loomed, threatening to swallow him whole. The flickering light from the machine cast eerie shapes on the walls. But he focused on Laura's piercing gaze, feeling the weight of her betrayal. "Join us?" Malik scoffed. "You've lost everything! And now you want me to sign up for your twisted vision?" "We all make choices," Laura shot back, her voice cold and calculating. "Some of us choose power. Others choose to believe in lies." Malik's pulse pounded in his ears. He had to act. His breath came fast and shallow as he glanced at Ethan, who was trembling beside Jade's still body, his facade crumbling. The man who once seemed invincible was now vulnerable, begging for redemption. "Trust is a choice," Malik said, turning to Ethan. "But I can't trust you. Not now." The truth hung heavy in the air. Just then, the tunnel trembled again. Dust fell like rain. Malik's instincts kicked in. He could either be paralyzed by fear or fight. "Run!" he shouted, and instinctively he grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him toward the exit. They had to escape this nightmare, together or not. The walls shook, and the air hummed with a tense energy. They dashed, heart pounding, dodging a flurry of debris. "You could have stopped this," Malik yelled, tears burning in his eyes. "You could have saved them." Ethan turned to Malik, guilt racking his features. "I thought I was doing the right thing for everyone." "Right thing?" Malik spat. "Look where that got us." The noise grew louder, echoes of chaos trailing behind them. They plunged into the dust, bursting through the exit into the dim light of the city above, gasping for air, hearts racing. But then Malik froze. They were surrounded by Crescent Ridge, once a place full of hope, now strewn with broken dreams. His friends, their faces twisted in shock as they saw him emerge, next to Ethan. "Malik!" someone shouted. "What happened?" Malik turned to the crowd. Panic doused their faces. He could feel their eyes questioning, judging. They needed the truth. "Ethan, he wasn't saving us. He was planning to control us," Malik's voice thundered, carrying through the street. "But we can change this." The crowd murmured, fear blending with anger. One by one, they stepped closer, determination igniting in each eye. "Together we can fight back," Malik cried, the fire in his heart igniting hope. "We can reclaim Crescent Ridge." But the tension shifted. Laura burst through the dust behind them, fury radiating from her. "You think this is over? I will expose you all." Malik felt the crowd's energy shift. They were ready to defend what was theirs, but the fight wouldn't end here. The battle had just begun. "Let's go!" Malik shouted, raising his fist, the crowd rallying behind him. a united front against the shadows that threatened their home. But amidst the surge, doubt crept in. How far would they have to go? How many more sacrifices? As they charged forward, Malik felt the weight of their world on his shoulders. The fight for their future was just starting. A never-ending journey of chaos, fear, hope, and truth. A cycle he wasn't sure they could break. And as the light of dawn pierced through the darkness, the crackling tension faded, and the specter of loss loomed heavy. Malik hadn't just stepped into the depths of a tunnel. He had stepped into an ongoing story, one filled with uncertainty and the promise of more battles ahead. But even amid this thicket of shadows, a spark of determination flickered. This wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning. Listen up, everyone. This is a pivotal moment. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this content alive. Don't wait even a second longer. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Your voice matters here, and let's get this amazing ending out there. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. We can't do this without you.